Hey, it's Des, and I'm back with another video. So yeah, on this one, I want to talk about Ben White quickly. Just a few things about him. Obviously, I was one of the people that had a few or a few comments about his signing because obviously he was signing for 50 mil at the time. So I had a few things to say about that when he was first signed. It was nothing to do about his ability. I wasn't really questioning his ability or anything like that. It was more of a case of like at the time, I felt like a striker would have been more important to us. Like a striker would have made a bigger difference to our team compared to us signing another defender, especially because we had Gabriel at the time and we still had Saliba on loan, who we could have just recalled to come back. So at that time, I felt like maybe we could have used that 50 million towards someone else. So it was never really about questioning his ability. You wouldn't. There's no need to question like a young player's ability, but it's more so of what was more important and what was more of a priority at the time. That was my stance back then. But obviously based on what you can see that we were building the team from the back to front, and if we felt like an opportunity came and that was a good opportunity, then we were gonna go for that player. So I feel like that's what we did, and obviously Ben White was a good opportunity that came across, and we were building from the back, starting with Gabriel, one of these lot, Ben White, and things like that. And if the opportunity came for us to maybe sign an attacker, then we took the opportunity. So yeah, when you think about it that way, and you think about maybe we were never gonna win the league that season anyways, so the opportunity to get a centre back like Ben White was there, a player like him it was there. So it was all around that makes it a good signing. And for me, one of the key things I do think about him is his mentality. I've said it before. At times, yeah, you get like the centre backs you get, or even defenders as a whole in general, that you get, whereby they give you the feeling that they're more than just defenders. You know what I mean? Like they give you a feeling of like they're kind of like when you think about guys like Sergio Ramos, guys like David Luiz, they give you that kind of feeling like they're not players who just settle for being defenders. They want to be involved in the game at all times. So when you look at it, they're always constantly involved. When the team is attacking, they're trying to attack. When the team is building up play, they're trying to build up play. They're constantly contributing. If their team is behind, you see them try to get into the box to try and make something happen. Maybe doing a corner. They just always trying to be involved in the game, involved in a build up, involved in creating, involved in offense offensively. And that's what I feel when I look at the likes of Sergio Ramos, the likes of David Luiz, those kind of defenders, guys like PK. They're kind of defenders who don't just accept that they're defenders. They feel like that they're important to the way the team plays, and if they don't do their part, then the team doesn't win. That's a different kind of mentality. There's defenders who just want to defend, and there's defenders who feel like defending is not just what their game is, and if they don't do these things offensively, then the team doesn't play well. So they feel that kind of responsibility. They don't just feel the responsibility that all I need to do is just defend and keep the team shut and keep this side closed and ensure the team doesn't concede. They also feel like I have to contribute offensively. That's the kind of mentality that I see with Ben White for me, and that kind of mentality you usually see centre backs like that or defenders like that at big clubs, and he gives me that kind of mentality. He reminds me a lot of Sergio Ramos, especially when he used to play right back. At the time, you see him, you knew he was always a centre back, but then he would play right back. He can defend, and at the same time, he was constantly bombing forward because he just felt that responsibility to always attack. And Ben White gives me that kind of Sergio Ramos kind of feeling, and I feel like long term when he eventually moves to centre back, you will see that even more in terms of him taking responsibility a lot more in the build up play and things like that. So that's what I see a lot from him. Another thing that to know is about him as always, when he makes mistakes, you rarely see him ever it's like you rarely ever see him like concerned or anything like that, or like if there's a mistake he's not phased by it. And I feel like when I look back at some of the interviews that he's given where he made a comment about how he doesn't watch football, I don't know if it was a audio interview or how it went, or if it was just I don't know how it went, but there was an interview where he mentioned that he doesn't watch football and stuff like that, and people run with it. And I feel like when you look at that, it does kind of play a part in terms of how when he makes a mistake, he's not phased because it seems like he's just not bothered or not concerned. It's just nonchalant about the whole thing. And if he makes a mistake, oh well, continue, play the next part, and then next thing happens again. And he just keeps on playing, and he just continues consistently performs and plays his game, regardless of what happened before. Even if you concede a goal, he just continues to play the same way. Whatever happened doesn't phase him, and when you have that kind of mentality, it allows you to just keep on performing at your best because it doesn't, like, a mistake doesn't detract from your game. Us conceding doesn't detract from your game, and you just continue to, what's it called, just try to affect the game in every way possible. And with him, with his kind of mentality, he's going to affect the game both defensively and offensively. So that's the kind of the thing that I see from me. I like, these are the kind of mental aspect about his game that which I like a lot. And then you see him in terms of like his actual like attributes and his skill set, his ball control and technique is unbelievable for a defender. I mean, you look at the contribution leading up to the goal for Nketiah, where he just had the ball and just did a little flick on like that. You see him even when he's under pressure on the ball, he feels like a midfielder. You know what I mean? It's like you see when you have like there's certain defenders you get whereby they can't wait to release the ball, but then you get guys like Ben White who is like when the ball's at their feet, it just feels natural to them. When he drifts into midfield, it feels natural having the ball at his feet. His ball control is like he's not concerned about losing it. When you press him, he can keep the ball. There's no real like he doesn't feel rushed. He doesn't feel in a rush or anything like that. He just feels like he's just comfortable on the ball, drifting inside. And you see at times there are defenders who receive the ball in certain areas of the pitch and they don't feel comfortable. He feels comfortable receiving anywhere. Back to what's it called in his own box. He's comfortable receiving there, comfortable receiving high up the pitch, wide inside. He just feels like a midfielder playing there, and and what he is just an all round really good footballer, which is why he's so comfortable on the ball like that. And he's passing. I feel like we'll see a lot more of his passing if he played as a centre back, because then he has more field in terms of like more like his option is a lot more open compared to when he's in a right back. If he's being pressed on this side, then he only has the option to go down the line, so you're not seeing as much of his passing range as what you would see if he was playing as a centre back, because then he'll be able to actually drift into the midfield like in the central areas, and he can pick out a pass on the left or pick out a pass on the right. But you still see him making some beautiful passes on that right hand side. And the thing is, even when he's being pressed, he still has the composure to hold the defender off or something like that, or create a space for him, create a good angle, and then play the pass over the top or to the side or anything like that. So he's got good passing range. You can see already he's got good ball carrying ability as well. And another thing that he has is got good physical, what's it called? He's got a good physique about him in terms of like running with the ball. Like he's a powerful runner with the ball. You've seen him like drive up front with the ball. If he sees a gap, he's able to drive into that gap and beat players and just bypass them and then play a pass. He's nice with the 1-2s as well. He knows how to play 1-2s and also make a run at the same time as well. So he's got really good passing. He's got great composure. And then another thing with his defending as well is that he's got really good front foot defending. So he's not the kind of defender that just waits for the defender to come to him. If he sees a pass is rolling and he feels that he can intercept, you're gonna see him try to get in front of the attacker and intercept the ball, which is good front foot defending for the kind of way we want to play, because obviously we're trying to play a high line kind of game and press higher up the pitch. And when you do that, you want defenders to be defending on the front foot and pushing up to get the ball back, rather than just being passive and waiting for the team to attack them. So he's got that kind of quality as well. And then the last thing I also want to talk about is just the way he's playing in our system at the moment. Obviously, with the right back, the way Arteta wants them to do is that he wants him to play as a third centre back. So if we're defending, or like say we're attacking, for example, and that we're in a transition, he's able to cover, because obviously if Tierney or Zinchenko are high up the pitch, you're going to have Gabriel covering the left hand side, you're going to have Saliba coming into the middle, then you have Ben White coming on the right. So it's like a back three, and I feel like this back three is actually beautiful for us to watch, because when you think about it, there was a lot of debate between our fans about who's going to be the starting centre back. Is it going to be Gabriel and Saliba, or Gabriel and Ben White, or Ben White and Saliba, and things like that. But then you look at the way we actually defend. At times we defend on the back three, and all three of these guys are actually defending together. So it's like there's no need to pick between one or two and things like that, when they're all getting to play and they're all getting to play in their best position as well. So like at times when Zinchenko or Tierney, whoever's playing at left back, is pushing up or in midfield, then you get Ben White tucking in as a third centre back, and then you have like that kind of back three there. You know what I mean? And then at times as well, when Ben White is then pushing up, you see him push into the midfield as well, and he feels comfortable when he's receiving there. And then also another thing that you see again is as I mentioned at the start of the season, that I wanted to see him make more overlaps into the final third. I wanted to see him overlap Saka a lot more, because Saka was starting to feel a bit isolated, and then you see Ben White starting to do the same thing as well. He's now overlapping a lot, and like there was one part in the game against West Ham where he overlapped and he just did a little cutback and just cut the defender and left the defender on the floor and then played his pass. It's like that kind of technique and that kind of composure he has in the final third is beautiful. Compared, like it's like that's the kind of technique and composure you see from a winger, and that's the kind of thing that he's got. So for me, like Ben White is just, you can look at it, he's just an all-round really good footballer, not just a defender, but an all-round really good footballer. And you see him like in just the way he interprets how we play in the system and how comfortable he is in all these different areas that he's attacking. Comfortable as a third centre back, comfortable as a third midfielder, and also at the same time overlapping. And you see him being comfortable there, and then you've seen him get assists and create situations with crosses from the right hand side as well. So yeah, just Ben White like I said, I had some questions about the signing, not about his ability from the beginning, not about his ability, but in terms of a priority. But obviously, I'm happy about the signing, and look at what we've got. We've got a great defender, still very young. We've got three great defenders, all very young, and defenders that we can you can look for going towards into the future. It makes you, you know what I mean. So obviously, we still want to get like a more offensive right back, but at the same time, it's having him there is still good to watch, and he helps us both offensively, and at the same time it allows us to be strong defensively as well. Because when we attack with our front five, you're gonna have the five behind the ball that you want to be able to defend transitions. And when you have defenders that can actually defend, then it helps you even more defensively, which helps as to why you see why we're really good defensively and we're really giving away situations. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly talk about Ben White and just highlight, because I feel like he needs to get his own flowers as well and get his own credit as well, because he's having a fantastic season at the moment. So yeah, that one's for Ben White right there. See you guys in the next video.